Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the Muppets Mayhem. This is a brand new show that just premiered this evening at midnight, and I have a confession to make. This is my second attempt, because I watched it, I recorded my thing, I even picked tomorrow's episode. I already know what tomorrow's episode is going to be, and I edited it, and it was ready to go. And as I was doing that, I was watching the next few episodes. And I realized, yeah, a one episode review is not going to do it. No, because it's barely scratching the surface of what the Muppets Mayhem is all about. I was tired and I just wanted to get through it. And now I'm even more tired and it's 2:30 in the morning. And yeah, I came back and did have to take another shot at this. Hopefully this will be better, more complete, and better rounded. This is obviously a comedy. It stars the Muppets, but a specific set of Muppets, the Electric Mayhem Band, that you'll recognize from the Muppet Show. They were the house band on the Muppet Show series in the 70s. And of course, they were the band that Kermit and Fozzie met along their way, traveling across the country in the Muppet movie. Right there. See that? One of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I appreciate the Muppets on a deeper level, much deeper level than you. So yeah, I'm an old school fan. I loved them since I was very, very little. And the Electric Mayhem, honestly, one of my favorite parts of the Muppets. Can you picture that? Actually, is our introduction to them in the Muppet movie, and it's also our introduction to them in the very first episode of this 10-episode series. Season 1, hopefully there's a second season, because I'm actually really loving this series. I'm coming right out of the gate right away saying, yes, this needs to be watched if you're a Muppets fan. And is it relevant to people, to kids today, adults today, millennials or Gen Z? Do they care? Should they care? Will they care? Maybe. But the cameos that fill any Muppet movie, TV show, series, whatever, will bear that out. They pretty much, they have to show up everywhere. And of course, since this is very music-centric, you're getting a lot of cameos. Each of these episodes, this is episode 5, it says right there. I've watched the first 4 episodes and brought this back up. And each of them are about 25 to about, after you take off the end credits and everything else, they're all about 25, 30 minutes long or so. The first episode is like 32 minutes, but that's probably with all the credits and everything else. So everything's your normal TV show half hour. It's the kind of thing they could probably throw on ABC or something over the summer. No, they're not. No, this is a Disney Plus original and it should probably stay there. Make them subscribe. Anyway, this focuses on the band. This is the first series, I think, that focuses on the band and does not feature Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, Scooter in the main cast. In fact, I'm 4 episodes in, I've seen none of them. And that's kind of impressive that they've taken this. These are B characters in the eyes of even Muppet fans. They're not exactly the main cast. We never saw an Electric Mayhem movie, but this is they're headlining their own series. And yes, it's a comedy. It's a Muppet comedy. How can you have a series with Muppets and not have it be funny? And not, especially if you have Animal. Animal is pretty much the big star in this. We all know Dr. Teeth and Floyd and Janice and Zoot and Lips, and Lips is kind of newer to most fans. He wasn't in the original Muppet movie, but he sort of joined the band later. And he mumbles a lot. So, yeah, that's nothing you haven't seen before. But you get to see these guys trying to move their way out of obscurity. And it turns out that when they got that big, super famous contract back in the Muppet movie, like everybody else, the rich and famous contract, well, yeah, they were supposed to make an album. And the studio that owns the rights to that album, well, they never got one. So a very up-and-coming, plucky, young music executive and music lover, fan of the band, goes through the files and discovers, well, we need this band to save the studio. It's not necessarily one of those kind of things where they're going to save the studio by having a charity show or anything. No. This is really about giving a bigger profile to the band. After all these years, they've been around for 45, 50 years. Excuse me. Like I have. I'm so old. My voice is going. At 2:30 in the morning, I'm sure my neighbors are loving this. So anyway, you get, her name is Nora, and she is this lovely, plucky young woman who is very much determined to make a mark in the industry, even though the studio where she works is not going anywhere, except out of business soon. And the same can be said for the band. The band has a devoted following around the world. They travel, they tour constantly, and that's the problem. They've toured constantly for 45, 50 years and never made that album. And now it's her job to coerce these guys who don't know how to lock it down and make their own music necessarily, and give them a new lease on life, maybe, or an album. And each of these episodes is track 1, track 2, and they're all named after classic rock songs. So will we see an album? Is there already an album that's available on Disney Records or something? I'm thinking there might be, if not soon. Every episode does include at least one song, either a performance of something original or a cover of something that you know quite well, depending on when you were born. The cameos range everything from classic rock musicians, band members from like Tommy Lee from Motley Crue shows up. There's moments where it didn't make sense to me, where they would cut away to different artists doing interviews talking about the band, where they only did that in the first episode so far that I could see. Everything else is like in universe, with the characters interacting with those musicians or other actors. Danny Trejo shows up in the first episode, and I'm going to spoil a little cameo that shows up in this, and there's a really good reason why they show up. Cheech and Chong. No, not Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong as themselves, but as the characters, Cheech and Chong. Where they show up? Well, it's a surprise to everybody. In fact, each episode ends in a literal cliffhanger. The first one, well, each one ends in a cliffhanger. The first episode ends in a literal cliffhanger. You'll understand what I mean when you see it. Yeah, there's, speaking of Cheech and Chong, you kind of always wondered if, Muppets, kids, but even the Muppet Show is much more adult skewing. This is definitely a show you can watch with your kid. There's nothing that's seedy or anything that would be inappropriate for children. But there's plenty of references for adults, such as, in the first episode, the amount of money. We find out how much money the Rich and Famous contract got the band in order to get them to make an album. They made $420,000. $420,000. Do these Muppets get high? We don't see them smoke or do anything else. But yeah, they're a rock band from the 70s or earlier. But we first saw them in the 70s. They're a band from the 70s. They're fairly psychedelic in their presentation, their look, and everything else. Yeah, you can pretty much guess, even though you never see them do it, guess that they get high. So in another episode, somebody pops in a videotape into a VCR, and guess what the time says? It's 4:20. So yeah, anybody who might ever feel like getting high to a Muppet show, like some people didn't back in the 70s, well, now you probably get absolute permission. There's plenty of 420 jokes throughout the series, and that's just a few that I saw on glancing. There's probably others that I missed. So yeah, this is lots of fun, lots of comedy, but it's also a drama. It's actually an actual like there's emotions involved here other than just being weird and funny. The people who perform the Muppets, by the way, beautiful timing, even better than I've seen in the past. I mean, yeah, this band is built on jokes, and everything they say is meant to be a parody of the whole rock genre, the music genre, and everything that goes with it. In the business, musicians themselves, it's a Spinal Tap of Muppets, basically. But there's certain drama elements that feature our main character, Nora, played by. Let me bring her up. Why is she? I don't like that she's buried so far down the list here. I don't know why. Maybe this is her first big role. Come on. Where are you, Nora? There she is, Nora, Lily Singh. Lily Singh, and her sister is Sarah Chaudhry, plays Hannah. They're basically two sisters. One girl's an influencer, so that might seem familiar to younger viewers, Gen Z. She's very Gen Z. And her sister is kind of responsible for raising her because, ding, 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 somebody's parents have to be dead in anything produced by Disney, it seems like it. So what are you going to do? So yeah, she raised her little sister and tried to make a life of her own. So in this case, there's a little bit of tension between the sisters in how they go about working with the Muppets, working with Electric Mayhem, I should say. And Nora, very right from the start, has to kind of lie to the band in order to get them on board. And that is not a good idea. Let's just say Janice is a bit sensitive to people who lie. And I won't spoil how that works out, but yeah, it plays out pretty funny. And everybody kind of gets a little bit of a different focus in different episodes. Animal figures in hugely to, I think, the second or third episode. And oh, by the way, we do learn more about each of these characters, and like not just silly throwaway jokes. We learn more about Animal. We learn more about Janice, and definitely Dr. Teeth is. Let's just say he has a romantic interest in this film that reaches back into his past, and it's pretty important. Janice, well, I'm not going to spoil Janice's. She is a secret that she hasn't shared with anybody before. Animal, okay, we got baby versions of everybody else, and yes, we have Muppet Babies. We've seen Muppet Babies, the cartoon. Is that canon? I don't know. I don't care. In this, we get to see, technically, where Animal came from. And yes, we get to see baby Animal. And if you think he's adorable now, if you got that little baby Yoda thing going, that Grogu thing going, yeah, you gotta watch out for that baby Animal. And he is, like I said, he's probably the biggest star in all this. Nobody else in the Electric Mayhem technically were in Muppet Babies, let's just say. Animal is the breakout star in this series, and they make good use of him. All of the puppeteers and the voice actors that contribute to these characters really flesh them out in a new way. And I know that sounds weird talking about puppets, but these are the Muppets, and it's a whole different level. It's a whole much deeper level than you'd expect from a normal puppet show. So, oh, by the way, Taj Mahari is also one of the actors on this. He's one of the leads. He is like the Muppets Electric Mayhem super fan, and he follows them around everywhere they go, and he is very much involved in their lives. If you don't know who Taj Mahari is, well, geez, he's the smart kid, the smart guy. Why can't I say his name? He was smart guy. Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a Disney veteran at like 5 or whatever. He's been on Disney stuff forever. So yeah, we got our main cast in the two sisters, Hannah and Nora. And Taj Mahari plays Moog, who Zoot can never get his name right, even though spelled pretty closely. Oh, we got Anders Holm. You might recognize him from Workaholics. He comes into this, possibly as a villain. Well, let's just say Animal sees him as a villain because Animal has a crush on Nora. So, and how he expresses that is a big part of the comedy. So yeah, we get to see a lot of different things about these Muppets that we never really bothered thinking about before. We know Piggy's and Kermit's and Fozzie's stories for the most part, and you can't. I don't know. You've seen the touch and go relationship between Kermit and Piggy, and it's always on again, off again. And I don't know if you want to go into the tragic backstory of Fozzie if he's a comedian, so they never have a good backstory. And Gonzo, we kind of learn about him in Muppets from Space. We get an idea where he's from. But some of the best Muppet movies beyond the original tend to be all fantasy offtakes, the Christmas Carol or Treasure Island or those kind of things. But this is definitely set in the real world. This is definitely set in a world where Muppets and humans coexist, obviously. But they're not treated as weird others necessarily. They're just treated as a weird band, and that's definitely who they are. Janice is very Janice. Floyd is, while Dr. Teeth is the leader of the band, Floyd is kind of the backbone of these things, and he surprises me. He surprised me in just 4 episodes. It's not a big thing, but it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Zoot, by the way, he appears, there's an after credits sequence with Zoot every single episode. It's just a little funny little bit at the end, but yes, you'll want to watch the credits. Each episode, see Zoot do whatever he does, and I won't spoil it, but yeah. So there's music in every episode. There are guest stars in every episode. There's a producer called Zed. He's in this. Sophia, what's her face? She's another Disney kid. She shows up in this. Steve Aoki, DJ. Dead Mouse shows up. He takes off his head. He takes off his Dead Mouse head. I don't follow him. I don't know if we're supposed to know what he looks like, but we see his face. I saw his face, I guess, for the first time. I don't recall ever seeing his face before. I don't know. Cameos are out the wazoo everywhere, and there are so many covers of classic songs that definitely people my age will understand and appreciate. Younger ones, there's plenty of younger musicians. Kesha shows up in this. The Sophia girl, why can't I say her name? She's a Disney person. You know who Sophia is? Not the first, not the animated character, but yeah, there's a bunch of different people from all different levels of music. But most of the jokes, I'm just going to tell you this right now, most of the jokes lean towards classic rock from the 60s and 70s. So yeah. By the way, if they do bring out an album, which I imagine is already done and it's ready to go, if they have, it would be a crime if they didn't put it out. That a show that is so music based, there's a theme song that plays. Like, no show has a theme song anymore. Mostly it's about a band and they have a theme song for the show. So with everything else, all the other songs they do in each episode, there's got to be an album. I'm gonna have to look that up as soon as I'm done here. I should have done that, but the moment I deleted the first version of this, I just immediately came back here, set everything up again, and started recording. That's literally what happened, and I'm going to now spend the next hour uploading this. And yeah, it's not twice as long as the original one, so I'm sure you're really happy about that. I know I'm going to forget. There's something else. Oh yeah, the people who are behind this is Bill Beretta, who is Dr. Teeth in this series. Dr. Teeth and Jeff Yorks, they all are behind developing this. But if you ever wondered what happened to Adam F. Goldberg, who created the Goldbergs, who basically told his life story, his nerdy childhood in the 80s in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia, who grew up not too far from me. If you ever wondered what he was going to do next, well, he's doing this. He's doing the Muppets Mayhem, digging back into the nostalgia of his childhood. And hey, he's already connected with Disney. with ABC and the Goldbergs. Why not? So yeah, this is very much a Adam F. Goldberg co-production development kind of thing. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, it's heartfelt. It's serious at times, which I know maybe some people might be like, oh, I don't want to drag down the story. I want to hear all the jokes. I want everything to be funny. No. Go with it. This is actually a mature, thought-out series, but there's no lack of comedy, so don't worry about that. So it's good Muppets. There's probably been some bad Muppets shows, as people have observed over the last few years. Hopefully this does get a second season, unlike all the others. But yeah, I want to see this go for a while. These guys deserve it. And yeah, eventually you'll trickle in the other Muppets here and there as cameos. But this first season has to be about the Electric Mayhem. And honestly, real growth, which, again, I can't believe I'm saying that. That's just weird to me. So, yeah, if you're into music, and even if you're not in the Muppets and you're into music, there's plenty of music-based comedy in this. So, yeah. All right, I have already picked, in the last video, I did the random selection, and lucky me, tomorrow's episode is a short, and it's real easy. It was number 566, and I'll show it to you. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Lost thing. It was 566, and it is Zen, Grogu and the Dust Bunnies. It's a Studio Ghibli production. Yeah, so you got Lucasfilm and Studio Ghibli working together, making a very, very short. I've already watched it. I've already seen it last year when it premiered in 2022 on May the 4th. But I'll talk about that tomorrow with the episode I'll record about that. But yes, the next thing we're watching is Zen, Grogu, yes, Baby Yoda, Grogu and the Dust Bunnies on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.